What's up, GERO 200? Today is Sunday, okay? It is May 26, 2024. And so we're going to be releasing the lectures for this week. It's the second week of your 6 weeks class, your summer school class 2024. Hopefully you guys are getting into the groove using Brightspace. You'll be getting a lot of, we have Julia has the better half has set up a lot of automated reminders for due dates. So you'll be getting these, okay? So don't forget in your discussions, you go through the material, you give us your prompt, 3, 4 sentences, and then to get full credit, you go read somebody else's prompt and you comment on their interpretation. So it's a good way to get a feel of what it all means through somebody else's eyes, and then also it's a way to get to know your classmates online. That's what online is all about. So you get out of life what you put into life. So it's a good idea to be doing that. All right, very cool. So I'm going to be going into module 4 today. All right, and as you can see, the backdrop has changed. So we are simultaneously with teaching this class, we are teaching a Maymester class. And this class is all about finding a way to have a happy and healthy life in Nosara, Costa Rica. So we are actually in Nosara, which is a little more remote than, say, Tamarindo or Jaco and things like that. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, craziness, and we've been down here for a week. What I can do is I'll just give you a quick tour here of what it looks like, and then we're going to get into the modules. So excuse me while I get up here, okay? So yeah, so there's the background. There's Julia doing her thing, okay? And then this right here is the beach area. So you're now looking out at Playa Guiones, okay? And we are staying up at Playa Pelada above Playa Guiones. So if you guys are looking for a really, really cool immersive experience where we teach you about the importance of family and the importance of having religiosity, okay, and culture, diet, exercise, this class is a way to go. So it's really, really, really fun. Okay, awesome. So let's go right straight into it. Remember, we can access each module, by going to content, or Julie set up, the better half set up these widgets right here that you can just scroll down and you see where we're at here. So we'll be giving you out announcements about the upcoming midterms. This is coming around the bend, the first short paper where you go out and, again, it's immersive, where you go out and grab some data and interpret the data. And so if you want to work ahead on that, you can. I'm going to create a whole new video for that. I haven't done that yet, so I'm just letting you know, okay? Alrighty, investigate the extra credit for the very end of the course. So this last week, you guys have been in Module 1 and been in Module 2, so we set the stage for, the personal, community, and global impact of aging. And many countries have prepared, many countries are going to be blindsided by what's coming. And knowledge is power, information is key, and you say information is power, but being able to be proactive and look ahead is so important. And I think too often our world is reactive, and then you just can't catch up. All right. So we did the generations. We talked about you guys, okay? We talked about the Gen Zs, and then your little brothers and sisters, okay? The Gen Alphas that are coming right along the bend. Now, we see here we're gonna have a little section of biology, okay? Because how we age, is really based on our biology. And why do some people? We actually visited a guy the other day. He was 102 years old down here in. I'm going to cough. Excuse me. He was 102 years old, living in a small pueblo called Santa Cruz, right outside Nicoya. And he was riding around on his horse. And what did he do differently? Okay, so this is what we're going to be talking about. And we'll set the stage in here when we do just about what's happening in aging. We have an entire building devoted to trying to understand the biological reasons and principles, and from that, then you gain new insight in terms of what to do in terms of lifestyle, which is super important. Okay, um, and so you have nurture and nature. Okay, nature is the genetics. Okay, and nurture then is how you nurture your genetics and get the best out of what you have. Okay, and so we'll talk about that, and it sets us up for disease. So we'll see later on. You know, all of us want to live long, 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 long lives and then just fall off the cliff at the end. Okay, versus this really slow, just kind of nasty 10 years of life where you're full of disability. Nobody wants that. Okay, all right. From there, then we're going to talk about a couple of the big diseases that impact us. Okay. Julie's going to talk about her experience with leukemia, a form of cancer that is a cancer of the white blood cells, which is scary in pandemic times because then your white blood cells are the ones that protect you from infections like COVID, and they're not working right. Big time. This is the scourge of modern society. We're going to go over this. Okay, diabetes. You really don't see diabetes in places like Costa Rica, Okinawa, Japan, the other blue zones, okay, Icaria, Greece, Sardinia, Italy, because people have to work really, really hard. They eat peasant food, which is mostly plant-based, okay? They don't have candy bars, on and on and on. And it's in places like the United States, however, where we have unlimited access to unlimited food, this is where we get ourselves into trouble. So we'll talk about diabetes and then how the diabetes affects the vasculature, and then you get loss of vascular disease right here. And the vascular diseases, affect anywhere a blood vessel goes. Okay, so I have Julie's uncle has a peripheral artery disease where it impacts his legs. Okay, you can have renal artery disease and then kidney failure. You can have the arteries to your eyes and go blind. We're going to come down here. We're going to talk about Alzheimer's disease. And the shock and awe of Alzheimer's disease is 80%, 80% of people that get Alzheimer's disease are either pre-diabetic or diabetic because it breaks down the blood vessels and things leak into the brain that are not supposed to happen. So that's the drill there. So we get all through that, and then we go back to kind of the personal aspects. Okay. Your experience with caring for your parents and grandparents, them caring for you, how this impacts you financially, on and on and on. All right, so that's the lowdown right there. So let's get back in here. On face value, so this is a fairly complicated thing, but my job is to just give you the skinny on this. Okay, how do you interpret this? Okay. So what we do every lecture is we lay down all the fruits and all the vegetables. Some people really like to eat fruits and vegetables. Some people like to pick at it. Okay, either way, we're going to give you exposure to this, and if you want a lot more detail, then you're good. Remember, the best thing you can do, not the best thing, but one approach is you have the 5-question quiz that is part of every module, and with that quiz, what you can do is open up Brightspace, get into the quiz, open the quiz, and then open up a second window in your browser. I'm using right now Firefox, or open it up in a different browser. You could open it up. Do not use Microsoft Edge, but I find Firefox works well, and then Google Chrome works well. But you can, and then so that the reason I'm saying that then is you can go into the assignment like we see here and be able to address the questions. Okay. Just 5 questions, okay? They're randomized, so you guys are all going to get different ones. If you guys want to work together, that's more power to you. It doesn't really matter, okay? So here's, the basics right here, okay? So the genes, okay? Now certainly you're going to get the genes of your parents, okay? There's the really long haul genes that are inherited over hundreds of years, okay? Even thousands of years. This is a Darwinian kind of genetics, okay? And the concept of Darwinian genetics is you go out into a certain environment and people that have certain genes flourish, and then certain people that don't have those genes are compromised and they die off earlier in that environment, okay? Genes control the proteins. We have 20,000 genes, and every single cell has the same copy of DNA. You know, you have 23 pairs of chromosomes, same cookbook, and then it's just like a skin cell and a brain cell. It just goes into the cookbook and reads a different chapter and makes the different proteins that make you the cell that you are, okay? We also, right here, in terms of they show these little spools. That's how the chromosomes are all wound up on these little spools, and they unwind, and then you read the recipe and you make the protein, okay? And we're going to see that we can control which ones are red. We have 20,000 of them. Certain ones are red, certain ones are shut down, okay? Based on what you're doing with your life, based on what kind of cell you are, okay? So, man, I'm going to reduce my stress, I'm going to eat right, and I'm going to open up the genes that are going to make me really, really healthy, or I'm going to eat a bunch of crap my whole life, never exercise, be all stressed out. I'm going to open up different genes, okay? Open up the cookbook for different genes and put out proteins that kind of maybe are like a little help in the short term, but in the long term, they screw you up, okay? We're going to talk about telomeres. There's these little protective caps on the end of the chromosomes. You don't want the chromosomes, the DNA, to get mutated, do you? No, all right? So those caps are super important. However, when we go through stem cells that go through cell division, these little caps get smaller and smaller and smaller, and it slows down the ability to renew cells, okay? We'll go over that. For example, your blood cells, you know, my bone marrow is hammered compared to yours because I've had so many cell divisions, and that has to do with the telomeres, okay? Alrighty. There are certain genes, okay, certain things that play out. This is antagonistic. What's antagonistic? Sometimes we have antagonistic viewpoints in politics, polar opposites, okay? And then pleiotropy. God, why do we have to use language like this, okay? Pleiotropy has to do with well-being or growth, and so something that's good for you when you're young may be crappy for you later on. Something that's good for you in the immediate, if you keep tapping into it, can be crappy for you, all right? Here's an example, all right? Chased by a lion, you need to have an adrenaline rush, and you need to release a bunch of cortisol, a hormone that is the background hormone that gives you a lot of fuel and shuts off the stuff you don't need at that moment in time because you're being chased by a lion. All good, okay? However, if you're tapping into that because you have lots and lots of concern and worry, and you're ruminating about what am I going to do with my college and my financing and my girlfriend or my boyfriend sucks, and you still tap into that same system that was developed from our primitive ancestors a million years ago to keep us from getting eaten by a lion, all right? And so you're not supposed to be tapping into that 24 hours a day. It's only for like 20 minutes once every week, 2 weeks. That's what that's all about. Okay, all righty. Right here, during periods of, this is a crazy one, but periods where we're out there trying to make babies, okay, we kind of let things go, all right? So it's all the genes are devoted for reproduction, all the genes devoted for repair during that point in time. It doesn't matter because I just want to pass on my genes, okay? All righty. Sort of linked to all these, here's mutations, okay? So mutations do happen, right? They can happen from exposure to all kinds of different types of environmental factors, carcinogens, okay? Stuff you eat, okay? Stress, okay? All this, okay? There's a concept here that our body is going to go into repair mode if we don't have a bunch of food around. That's what this calorie restriction, and you hear intermittent fasting, it's in all the news, okay? So if you fast a little bit, or you do the 80% rule, where you eat about 80% of what you would normally do, you know, then it gives your body an opportunity then to turn around and repair things. But if you're always eating, which is a scourge of modern developed countries, westernized societies, then all your body knows is I'm screwed. I'm not going to repair anything. I'm just going to go through cell division, and I'll worry about repairing all the many new cells I just produced from my stem cells later when there's no food around. Well, you can see how that is a downward spiral if you're always eating all the time. Okay? Alrighty. So then you accumulate problems and waste. That's in this one right here. And then the other thing that happens is when you are restricting your diet, you go into repair mode, you can protect yourself against things like oxidation. Okay, we are powerhouses to make, we take in oxygen, we take in glucose, okay, we take in oxygen, we burn fat, all right, we're just like a car engine, all right, you need fuel to get some giddy up and go, all right. When you restrict your diet, you don't eat too much, then that is the cell gets the message of, hey, we got to hunker down and make sure what we have is really, really efficient and good. So we put in brand new mitochondria to make this conversion of fuel from sugar burning with oxygen and fat burning with oxygen. Okay, if you're eating all the freaking time, again, screw it, we'll do that later, we'll put in new mitochondria later, and then the old mitochondria is like an old car that's not burning gasoline well, and it spews out tons of free radicals. So this is why we all take antioxidants, okay? Antioxidants is a nutritional way of getting rid of this cell exhaust that causes proteins and the cell membrane, the fatty part of the cell, to fall apart, on and on and on, all right? That's everything, okay? That's the skinny on that, okay? All righty, so I thought you would like to get that over. This is a great figure that Julie put in there. And then we come down in here, okay? And it provides you like an opportunity to go through this. So this is, you heard it from me, all right? This is a really, really cool video right here. When you watch it right here, I love it.
Health is the most valuable thing we have in life, but
7 minutes long, okay? I'm not a big reader, because I have profound ADHD. It's what made me a great athlete until I started to ruin my body, But even then, you just keep making comebacks. I'm down here surfing. I tore out my shoulder, torn rotator cuff, severed my bicep tendon last year in Costa Rica, freaking back, okay? Over the last 6 years, I had a total knee replacement, tore out the left shoulder, tore out the right shoulder. You just keep making comebacks, all right? All right, so in here, it goes through the key concepts that I've been talking about, but it does so with some video imagery. I'm not a reader. People always ask me, hey, Dr. Walsh, what's your favorite novel? And you know what my answer is? I don't know. I've never read one, okay? You want to talk to novels? She does all the reading for me, all right? So I'm very image-based, all right? All right, so I love these kind of videos. So it talks about here, dividing cells have a limit. That was, remember those caps on the end of the chromosomes? So as they get smaller and smaller and smaller, that dictates the rate of cell division, all right? So as you get older, your ability, and you'll see it in your grandma and grandpa, your skin gets all thin and funky, it's because the stem cells to make new skin have already had so many cell divisions that the telomeres are getting shorter and shorter, all right? So, and then you're just left with the old crap that you had, okay? Awesome. So that's what this is, right? And you think about all dividing cells, your kidneys, your gastrointestinal system, on and on and on. Any tissue that has cell division is going to be impacted. Your blood vessels, okay? All right. So, so normally, okay, your cells are told to die off, the shitty ones, okay, the crappy ones, okay? They become sickly, okay? But if you don't have good cell division, these old crappy ones, they stick around, okay? This is what all the people that do biology of aging have found this out. And so, what's the best way to get rid of the old bad ones and put in new ones, okay? Plant-based diet, exercise, it is what it is. It's not rocket science, okay? Limit your calorie intake. Don't be eating sugar all the time, stuff like that, okay? Alrighty, some people like the Walter Longos of our group, he's really honed in on the unique proteins and amino acids that are found in red meat versus fish versus plant-based proteins. It's the same drill. You've heard the folklore. Red meat can be bad for you too much, and it contributes to this. Okay. Alrighty. So you have a sweet spot in nutrition. Okay. Don't do over nutrition. Okay. Because it gets back to everything. Over nutrition and obesity. We're going to go over this later on. Is linked to all the diseases: cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's, heart disease, kidney disease, blinding, diabetic retinopathy, things like that, okay? So don't overeat. What happens when you get tummy fat, also called visceral fat, this is the the fat that encircles your heart and your intestines, okay, it just kind of encases it when you're obese, is it sends out these really bad hormones, and more importantly, it sends out a bunch of high alert messengers for the immune system. They're called cytokines, and so that causes hyperinflammation that breaks down the blood vessels, and you're off to the races for problems with that. Every disease that we've studied is inflammatory, right? This is why we always take foods that are anti-inflammatory. There's a whole area of nutrition. People get their degrees in nutrition where they will design anti-inflammatory diets for you. All right? All righty. And then we have over here, this right here is that we have a little sensor of turns on. I talked about we want new mitochondria. Okay, we want to protect ourselves. Well, every time you eat food, you have this little guy called NAD that activates different proteins and activates which parts of your genes are turned on. Okay, that NAD, when you take food in, all right, carbon has all these hydrogen atoms on it. It's just the way glucose looks and the way fat looks. Okay, and when you have a bunch of the glucose and fat, they'll throw the H and it globs onto NAD and it turns into NADH. And it turns off all the protection. So when there's no food around, no H, okay, NAD plus is high, so it's a nutrition sensor, okay? Awesome. All right, so I've gone through all that. I told you I was gonna give you skinny, do watch this, all right? It explains everything, okay? All right, this is the same thing, just another way of looking at it, okay? Stem cells, DNA damage, telomere shortening, okay? When you have mutations, you have expression of genes that cause proteins that are not correct, okay? They become less functional, all right? Remember, if you have too much food around, okay, it kind of stops cells that you need to get rid of from getting rid of. They accumulate, okay? Don't forget the mitochondria, on and on and on and on. Okay, so, all right. So this is a cool article about aging where we got these figures from. There's a good chance you might need a subscription, but go ahead and check that out, okay? Alrighty, and then, people always, aging is, you'll ask your parents, grandparents, it's not for sissies, a lot of problems associated with it. I went through the many surgeries I've had because, what happens when you're young, your ligaments and tendons, they stretch, and as you get older, they lose their elasticity because I'm not putting in new elastic proteins. There's even a protein called elastin, collagen you've all heard of. The old ones stay out there too long, they get brittle, and boom, you snap them. So just as when you're an athlete, sadly, that's what starts happening more and more as you get older. Okay, so what can we do to improve the scenario? And that's what this is all about. Okay, so there's all kinds of research out there about maybe we can invigorate our stem cells, even do stem cell replacement. Research, okay? Don't be going down to Honduras and getting stem cell injections, okay? Because it's not approved by our government here yet. So people get hammered by doing this because they think they're gonna beat the system, right? It's not there yet, all right? Anti-inflammatory drugs, okay? So there's lots and lots of opportunity for that, okay? We take anti-inflammatory for pain, but maybe there's some more homeopathic approaches in terms of our diet, okay? The classic anti-inflammatory is, ibuprofen, Advil, I like my Celebrex, things like that. That's like a short-term fix that is a chemical that, your liver's always in there going, when it has to eliminate all these weird chemicals we put in. So the best stuff is an anti-inflammatory diet, okay? What can we do to improve the DNA, okay? Can we selectively reactivate the caps on the telomeres? Who knows? Can we turn certain genes on and off based on our habits? Yes, we can. There may even be a pill form someday, all right, that will turn on and off based on diet and homeopathy, that will turn on the good genes and silence the bad genes, okay? We have right here dietary restriction. There's all these targets that have been developed, okay? This is just fancy talk, different proteins. mTOR is a protein, okay? AMPK is a protein, okay? And sirtuin, these are all proteins. So they're based on diet, okay? We're able to activate these guys selectively, okay? There's a drug called rapamycin that's been around for years that works on mTOR that brings health, okay? When we inhibit this, you get rid of this crazy abnormal cell division, like what happens in cancer, okay? AMPK and sirtuin, okay? Diet has been shown to activate this. So rapamycin, and I'm blocking. I'm going to ask my associate here. Do you remember that diabetes drug that people use? Metformin. See, there's a lecture in the back. Metformin has been around forever, and it's been shown to really be helpful in diabetes, and it activates these guys right here, and it seems to get rid of a lot of other disease vulnerabilities based on how it works with aging. And what you're doing here is you're going to stimulate the cell to protect itself. You're going to get rid of the bad cells, rejuvenate the good cells. That's what that's all about. Awesome. All right. So the goal, what is the goal? Okay, we want to live longer. Okay, we met a nice lady yesterday that was 90 down here in the Nosada area. If you go onto our website, my good friend Miles Zetto, we've been friends. We grew up in Monterey Park. We've been friends since we were 15, and we interviewed his dad. It's on our gerontology Instagram page, and he's 103. And he fishes, and he is a bull. So 102. He's amazing. So you want to be, his name is Shig, okay? Shigeto, and this is Shig right here. So he's out here, and he is 102 years of age. Yes, you can have a period of decline, but you want it to be short and sweet, okay? Versus somebody who has diabetes, this is you right now at 50, and for 25 years, your life's gonna suck, okay? So you don't want to have this extended period of what we call disease, or fancy talk is called morbidity, okay? Mortality is death, morbidity is a disease state, all right? That's what doctors will talk about, all right? All righty, so that's the essence of that. I've given you the skinny. What you can do here, so I've gone into this, okay? There is the reading, okay? So what I've talked about guides you, and then you can go through the reading, and it kind of highlights the same stuff, okay? So it talks about how, why aging happens. Is there a biological clock? It's really difficult. Do we have genes designated for us to just die off? Some people used to think that it's a combination of the genes and environment. Certainly, evolutionarily, you don't want me to be fathering children for 50,000 years, okay? So we need to create diversity in the gene pool so that we get rid of some really bad mutations that I might have, okay? So that's one concept of it, okay? Is that you are geared up to reproduce, and then you're supposed to get out of here, okay? All right, that's what that's all about, okay? But we do want to modify the course of aging, okay? So this is fancy talk. Dieting, okay, eating right, that's calorie restriction. And so in the lab, it's been shown that when you reduce if you give mice, there's a reason people study worms and fruit flies. They're called Drosophila, because their maximum lifespan might be 30 days. Okay, so you could do a whole lot of analysis. When you're studying mammals, their lifespan might be 3 years. Like we're talking about rodents, mice and rats. And that's hard to do because it eats up the budget. When you get a grant to study this from the National Institute of Health, which is a branch of our government, the grant may only be 3 years long, and so you can't study generations and longevity as easily, all right? So that's why they've gone, people even evolved longer, even looked at yeast that live a couple of days and they're done, So, what weirdly, the proteins, the blueprint, the genes, there is a lot of, we retain a lot from yeast and from Drosophila and from these little worms that are found in the soil called Caenorhabditis or C. elegans, okay? Anyways, when you look at those simple model creatures, when you have a sparse diet, we reduce the calories, say 30%, okay? It dramatically increases the lifespan, maybe doubles it, okay? Looking at yeast, worms, insects, and rodents, okay? Alrighty, so something's going on there. So then you go in and you kind of look around and say, what is going on there, okay? So when we have food around, okay, you guys have heard of insulin, okay? So when you eat sugar, okay, boom, your pancreas produces insulin. Insulin goes to your muscle cells, it goes to your liver, it goes to fat, and it says, pull out the glucose, package it, then we're going to use it later. All right. So you get a limited amount of glucose that you store in your liver and your muscle cells, and the rest we convert it into fat. So when, because you think about our ancestors, we'd stumble upon something that was so good, we'd eat the crap out of it, and then we might go another week before we have a meal. All right. So you have just the glucose reserves that if you exercise for a day or so, you burn through those, and then you start burning the fat. All right. And hopefully you'll stumble upon a meal within the next week. Okay. And then you rejuvenate the reserves. Okay. If you don't stumble upon a meal within the next week, then you start burning your muscle protein. You start wasting away, and then you die. Okay. So that's kind of the idea with that. So we release insulin to store things, and when we have nothing but food around, we release insulin, and this is called insulin-like growth factor. It looks similar to insulin. It's produced by the liver. And this guy is like, man, there's so much food. I know what to do. Let's just start producing new cells. All right. And who cares if there's mutations and they're all screwed up? The original stem cell blueprint. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay. Not good. Okay. And that's been shown to be a precursor to having problems. And that's why we got to watch what we eat. Okay. That's what that's all about. In fact, if you have too much sugar in your diet all the time, okay, we see over here, the sugar can't even get packaged away quickly enough. So you guys have all had the honey baked ham, okay? So every protein in your blood, okay, becomes a little tiny honey baked ham, all right? We had to give it a scientific name. It's called advanced glycosylation end products. Glycosylation is when you coat something with sugar. It's advanced way beyond what it should be, okay? And what happens is you can't get rid of them. It takes a long time to get rid of them. And the immune system says, what is that? It looks like bacteria. Flips out, you have inflammation, okay? So these things then cause inflammation all throughout the blood because you had too much nutrition and you couldn't package away the glucose, all right? That's what happens in diabetics, all right? Because they can't package away the glucose, and that's a whole different story. We'll get into that, okay? All right, so a lot of people don't think it's Darwinian. It's more, this is the genes we have, okay, to get us to set up, okay, and then over time we just develop damage. And so this is the whole concept of damage right in here. Like I said, okay, based on diet, and for some reason with age, we're not able to put out the necessary proteins to, proteins are little worker bees. So go in there and say, oh, there's a mutation in my DNA. I got to go repair it. So you start accumulating damage, okay, over time, whether it's DNA, proteins, the lipids, on and on and on and on. Okay, awesome. Shows you the mitochondria. We're supposed to get rid of those and put a new one. Remember, this is a car engine, all right? Car engine sucks after a while, starts sputtering. It's not efficient. You're not going to make the energy molecule that this guy takes glucose and sugar, makes this ATP, and ATP is a credit card all throughout your body to get crap done. Bam, 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 bam. I want to do this. Boom, I'm burning all kinds of ATP, contracting the muscle, okay? However, if I don't exercise, okay, if I don't limit my diet and I sit around, I'm a couch potato and I'm 100 pounds overweight, these guys, I don't put new ones in. So they're very inefficient. You don't burn calories as well, okay? It becomes a downward cycle. And they produce, produces oxidation. Remember, just, breathe in oxygen, okay, and burn with glucose. They become really inefficient. The oxygen doesn't get burned. The oxygen forms, oxidation products like rust on your car. And it causes everything to fall apart. All right? Okay. All right. So we have this maintenance of our genome. We got to maintain our cook station, okay? The blueprint for making proteins, all right? We don't want to have errors in that, all right? So that's an important thing. We got to repair DNA damage. We got to repair the proteins that are kind of like the waiters going up to the cook station that say, hey, I want this, I want this, I want that, okay? It's a very, very complex process, and anything that gets screwed up, it's going to fall apart. We talked about this guy, too much diet, too much food, you have too much insulin, too much IGF-1, causes abnormal cell division, causes cancer, causes vascular disease, on and on and on, okay? Alzheimer's disease, you name it, okay? We're talking about antioxidants, okay? Why do we need those? Our mitochondria become inefficient as we get older, especially if we're overweight, okay? So super, super important, all right? All righty, the oxidative problem, I already gone over that through our modalities of learning, the video, my explanation, okay? And then this guy right here was looking at the limitation. Replicative, that means I'm making new ones. Senescence, okay? My ability to make new ones, cells, okay, is going down. And this has been shown over and over time. They're talking, they look at, again, the part of the DNA, the telomeres, that gets smaller, and now that was associated with reduced cell division. Awesome. Okay, we did it. We went through all of that, man. How awesome is that? All right, like I said, you know, if I was you guys, okay, we can go over here. This is the module that we're working. I'm going to click right there. All right, if I was you guys, I would have had a second browser open, okay, and I would have gone in and opened the quiz, okay, and I showed you in an early video how you access that. And then now, okay, we're looking at this, and we're going to use this as our discussion prompt, focusing in on just one concept. And that one concept is damage to our DNA, but also the limitations of being able to produce new cells, okay? Guess what, okay? You want to make babies, all right? You got to have really, really, really good cell division, okay? So, yes, women, you're born, believe it or not, with 200,000 egg cells, okay? And then, you know, by the time you go through puberty, you know, you're down to maybe a third of that, okay? But it's all good. You have more than enough egg cells to go, okay? They then get, you get impregnated when the sperm comes and fuses with the egg cell, and then what has to happen? Cell division, cell division, cell division in the baby, but also cell division in your uterus, okay? Ba, 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 ba. So guess what's happening with all these cell division processes? They get limited the older you get. So what happens as women get older, okay? They have more and more trouble getting pregnant. And then also, there's more and more trouble with defects, okay? Same drill for men right here. That's what this is all about right here, okay? So you see the telomere is getting shorter. Well, we only put out one sperm. Who's making the sperm, guys? Your testes, okay? And with your within your testes, you have cells that are going through cell division all the time. One group's making testosterone. They've given us some sex drive to make us big and strong so that we can be successful. And there's another type of hormone that goes to these other specialized cells in your testes and says, hey, let's make sperm from the stem cells. So you're making sperm all the time. So what's happening when we get older? We're making less sperm. Our sperm count goes down. And guess what? All right. So these stem cells are accumulating a few mutations here and there. Yes. So daddy, your old sperm is not as good as your young sperm in terms of the babies you're going to be making. All right. That's what that's all about right there. Okay. This is a really cool article. You either click here. See the little hand pops up. All right. You click here or you click here. It's going to take you to the article. I'm just going to go into it right here. And it gives you, is it hard evidence does fertility really drop off the cliff at 35? And the answer is, take a look right here, okay? Yes, it does. So this is mommy's age, but you know what? Daddy's age is right there neck and neck, okay? And so we see that the fertility, the ability per 1,000 married women, okay? This is the rate, okay? So how many children are being produced per 1,000 women of this age group, okay? You guys right now, you're in your 20s, you should have 4 kids. That's what we're designed for, okay? We're not supposed to be going to college, getting our law degree, working for a law firm, finally finding somebody that you hook up with that you think is right, and then here you are right here, okay? And your fertility ability is about half of what it was when you were 20, all right? It plummets, okay? What else happens, okay? Remember I talked about your uterus? Remember I talked about the cell division and creating a perfect home, all right? Perfect nest within the uterus. It gets screwed up as you get older, so the number of abortions skyrockets as a function of age. When I say abortions, these are called miscarriages, all right, or spontaneous abortions, all right? That's what this is all about, all right? So I give you the skinny on that right there, all right? This is how you get to the article, okay? And yeah, it's an easy read. It's well worth checking this out. Okay, awesome. There, see, it's a short read. All right, I'm going to go back to the course. All right, there we are. Okay, cool. All right, and this right here is if you are of that age group, your mom is, your sister is. This is all about fertility options. Okay, it is what it is. I had my first kid when I was 39. Julia was 32, almost 33. We met when she was young. It was our program. She was 20, but we were really poor people, and we wanted to get our careers together. That was our choice. Okay, first child, boom. That was Matt. Lickety split. Okay, happened okay. When I was 39, then we had to get our shit together. Da, ba, 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 ba. Then I was 45 and Julia was 38, 39. We had our second child through higher powers of technology. So we went through in vitro fertility treatment, okay? And so this is the website about this that you should definitely check out. It's going to impact you all, okay? This is one way to find out how many eggs you have, okay? You become a super ovulator by taking these pills, all right? It's also a way to get pregnant, okay? So one of the treatments is just to give you this drug, clomiphene. It goes up there and messes with your brain, and then your brain produces a bunch of hormones to have multiple eggs go through, okay? Remember Octomom, all that? So that's how you have multiple children from birth, more quadruplets and triplets and twins, etc. when you do this. So this is, and you can do this when you go see a fertility doc, and they're going to see how well your ovaries are responding. What do you think? The older you get, they respond more poorly. But it's just a way of gauging where your ovaries are at, okay? And go to this website to check it out, all right? Cool. Awesome. All right. There's other medications you can take. Check that out. This is in vitro fertilization. So we did all that, okay? And you know what? It just didn't work. So then what we did is Julia had small surgeries, okay? It's a little called laparoscopy, little tiny incision, and the fertility doctor harvested some of her eggs. Yeah, put them in the petri dishes. All right. So our youngest son, okay, his baby book starts with a little petri dish like this, and there's 10 embryos about, okay? And they wait till they go through cell division, and then they pick out the ones that look the best that are at the 8 cell stage. So they start off with 1 cell, then it's 2, then it's 4, then it's 8. Boom, they grab them, and they will take a specialized device and stick it up into your uterus, and hopefully it'll stick to the sides of the wall. That's the sticky part. That's the hard part. So this is called in vitro fertilization. That's how we got our son, which is awesome. And here's another one right here that explains everything to you, okay? So this is what we want you to do. We should think about it, and then, okay, discuss your thoughts and emotions about everything we've talked about here, okay? And right here, like I said, dads, you know what? Don't get in this high horse that it's all because you're old as a mom. No, 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 no. This is, these are all different cohorts, and I'm going to get into the statistical analysis. Just look at these guys, all right? The likelihood of having a kid that's autistic based on daddy's age. The likelihood of having a kid that has ADHD based on daddy's age. Psychotic, daddy's age, okay? Substance abuse based on daddy's age, okay? All this, okay, shows you that the sperm we're producing are just not as effective as they were when we were 20 versus somebody that's out here in their 40s, all right? All right, guys, peace. That's my first Nosada lecture, okay? I want you guys to have a good time this week. Don't forget to get in there and get everything done, and we'll be in touch. We're gonna get. I can't believe I don't remember how many lectures this week is. You're usually gonna get 2 or 3. All right, awesome.